Yeah, the NFL does not like what the Dallas Cowboys are doing. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Dallas Cowboys news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Dallas Cowboys could bring home a projected $45 million LB that could help their chance winning a Super Bowl next NFL season. The Cowboys enter the 2024 NFL free agency period with limited capital to spend, but certainly with plenty of needs. Offensive line depth could well be an issue, and the hunt for a number 2 wide receiver next to CeeDee Lamb is high on the list. Possibly upgrading from Tony Pollard at running back is a need too, and the defensive line needs help. But the most glaring hole, and the one that probably should be getting more attention, is at linebacker, and bringing a Dallas area native and former first-round pick back home that would be the Seahawks' Jordan Brooks could be the answer. The Cowboys were too thin in the middle of the defense, literally. Safety Marquise Bell had to slide into a linebacker spot, and though he played well at 6'3" and 205 pounds, he was clearly out of place. With that in mind, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler has the Cowboys in line to bulk up the position with Brooks. As Fowler wrote on Sunday, Dallas could be in the market for a linebacker after last season's struggles at the position. Jordan Brooks, a Dallas area native and one of the top free agent linebackers, would be a good fit. Brooks would be an outstanding addition, though not a cheap one. On Pro Football Focus's list of the top free agents, he comes in at number 50 and is the 4th-rated linebacker on the list. He was a first-round pick of the Seahawks out of Texas Tech in 2020 and has started 55 games in 4 years for Seattle. PFF projects him landing a 3-year, $36 million contract, while SpotRack has him at 4 years and $45 million. He suffered an ACL injury at the end of 2022, but only missed 1 game, returning to form in 2023. PFF wrote of Brooks. Brooks draws tough assignments in coverage, which knocks his grade a bit, but it also illustrates the trust this defense has in him. His ability to return by Week 1 of 2023 from a torn ACL suffered in Week 17 of 2022 was extremely impressive, and he posted career highs in pass rush grade and coverage grade this season. Brooks is a 3-down player who could continue to grow with improved health and experience. The linebackers did appear a bit cursed for the Cowboys last year. It was back in 2019 that top linebacker Leighton Vander Esch was diagnosed with spinal stenosis, and despite surgery in 2020, the condition has been problematic and flared up again in last year's loss to San Francisco. Vander Esch is expected to retire. The unwillingness of team to speak on the matter is a pretty big hint that Vander Esch will call it quits. "We'll let Leighton speak to that," Team VP Stephen Jones said last week. "It's an injury issue that he's getting his hands around. He'll speak to that." The Cowboys used a 3rd-round pick on DeMarvion Overshown out of Texas, a pick that might have been a bit of a stretch, except that it was clear the Cowboys needed depth at linebacker. But Overshown injured his knee and did not play last year. Packers quarterback Jordan Love, in a conversation with Micah Parsons, highlighted the fact that linebackers were an area the team determined to attack in the 48-32 playoff loss the Cowboys suffered. "The key for us going into the game was we needed to run the ball," Love said. "That was a huge thing. Obviously, we played y'all a year before, and I felt like we ran the ball pretty well. I'm not trying to talk, but your linebackers, I think you had a DB playing linebacker. Our goal was to be able to run the ball, and I was going to set everything else up." The second story is Dallas Cowboys could sign a 2-time All-Pro as Michael Gallup replacement. The Dallas Cowboys seem set to reload at wide receiver, with the future of Michael Gallup and other receivers in question. Other than CeeDee Lamb, no one else in the receiver group seems like a lock to make the roster. In fact, it appears that Gallup is one of the team's top-cut candidates due to his salary. If Dallas looks for a proper replacement, SI.com's Tim Ham thinks they should consider New Orleans Saints free agent Michael Thomas. But as a rejuvenation project on the cheap, role with the Cowboys could likely be much different than it was in New Orleans, Ham wrote on March 3rd. Thomas probably wouldn't see many double teams because of the presence of CeeDee Lamb. He was expected to carry the Saints' offense, and that would not be the case in Dallas. If the Cowboys choose to go the Thomas way in free agency, it could be just what both the player and the team need to get over the hump. The prospect of getting a two-time All-Pro while he's down on his luck is enticing. Thomas was one of the dominant receivers of the late 2010s, but he is still looking for his return to the top, and that could happen in Dallas. As a second-round pick out of Ohio State in 2016, Thomas had plenty of hype, but unlike some highly touted talents, it took very little time for him to get adjusted to the NFL. As Pro Football Reference shows, Thomas totaled 1,137 yards and 9 TDs as a rookie with the Saints. That would be the first of 4 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons, though, as his campaigns in 2018 and 2019 were even more impressive. After a league-leading 125 receptions and 1,405 yards for the Saints in 2018, Thomas won the AP's Offensive Player of the Year award in 2019 with 149 receptions for 1,725 yards and 9 touchdowns, with the reception total being an NFL record. However, injuries and other issues have disrupted his career. Thomas missed the entirety of the 2021 season. Further, he has not played more than 10 games in a season since 2019. While he is still clearly viable at the top level, keeping him on the field is the risk factor. Of all the recent extensions the Cowboys have handed out, the Gallup deal has aged the worst. After a standout stretch in 2019 and 2020, Dallas handed the receiver a $57.5 million contract. In the years since, the 27-year-old has failed to total more than 500 yards or 5 touchdowns in a season. That is partially due to unfortunate injuries, but the Cowboys can't justify paying him star money when he's not producing. Per SpotRack, Gallup still has 3 years remaining on his deal, with his lowest yearly cap hit being in 2024 at $13.85 million. Cutting him would save $9.5 million toward the 2024 cap, while freeing up $11.5 million in 2025 and 2026. That being said, Dallas does have to deal with dead cap. Gallup's deal has $13.05 million of guaranteed money yet to be paid out, but that's a fraction of what they will save. Amid speculation that the Dallas Cowboys will cut wide receiver Michael Gallup, General Manager Jerry Jones said that he has not made a decision, at least not one he's ready to share. Per the Dallas Morning News, Michael Gelkin. "We don't have a decision that we would like to talk about right now," Jones said. "It's one that we will be going over with him. Nothing we would say without him being involved. We need to sit down and go over stuff with him before we talk about what we're going to do with him." Gallup, who has been with the Cowboys since 2018, had the worst statistical year of his career in 2023, recording 418 receiving yards and a pair of touchdowns. After notching a 1,000-plus receiving yard season in 2019, Gallup has failed to get over the hump and has had 500-plus receiving yards just once in the last 4 years. He signed a 5-year, $57.5 million contract in 2022 and is set to have a $13.85 million salary cap hit in 2024 if Dallas holds on to him. He will be an unrestricted free agent in 2027. If Gallup wants to keep his job with the Cowboys, he'll likely have to take a pay cut. The third story is Dak Prescott extension with Dallas Cowboys no longer viewed as sure thing. Shortly after the Dallas Cowboys' elimination from the playoffs, some wondered if Dak Prescott's days were numbered with America's team. It doesn't help that he's entering the final year of his contract and will be eligible for unrestricted free agency after the 2024 season. It turns out, Prescott signing a new contract with the Cowboys may not be as guaranteed as one might think. The Dallas Cowboys could capture up to $18.5 million in cap space if they simply restructured Dak Prescott's contract this offseason. Another way they could get cap relief is by negotiating a new contract with their 3x Pro Bowl QB. However, the Cowboys might not choose either option this offseason, according to ESPN's Dan Graziano. NFL insider Dan Graziano had this to say about Dak Prescott. "I am not as convinced as a lot of people seem to be that a Dak Prescott extension in Dallas is a sure thing. His current 2024 cap number is $59.455 million, which is massive, and obviously an extension is the best way to reduce it. But Prescott has a large amount of leverage here too, with 1 year left on his deal and a clause in his contract that prohibits the team from franchising him. Plus, he has never made things easy on the Cowboys when they've gone to him to talk new deals in the past. If they can't make headway in negotiations, the Cowboys could save about $18.5 million in cap space simply by converting Prescott's 2024 salary into a signing bonus and doing so without adding any more void years to the 3 that are already on the deal. The problem with that? It would result in the Cowboys carrying a cap charge of roughly $55 million for Prescott in 2025, when in this hypothetical scenario, he could be playing for a different team. For Prescott, waiting until next offseason could net him a much larger contract depending on how well he plays again. That's only one of the reasons why it makes more sense for the Cowboys to work out an extension with their star QB now, but so far both sides seem content with letting things play out. We'll see if that changes anytime soon. The Dallas Cowboys are turning their attention to draft season,